Why should I trust you? You're always tricking me into going places I don't wanna. Oh, you said we were going to a place Walt Disney built.
No, Peter, I said supported.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business.
I did not like Snow White. The reason why is that the actress that plays Snow White, she acts like a bitch all the time.
Weird.
Weird.
I don't need your business.
I say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed on.
And everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I don't need your business. Thanks.
It feels like Hollywood just woke up after a 3-year-long celebration, only to realize their big feminist master plan had been tossed straight into the trash by the very fans they thought would cheer it on. The live-action Snow White finally made its awkward debut in theaters around the spring equinox of 2025. And within days, it was clear it was crashing harder than a toddler belly flopping into a hotel pool.
So much fun it should be illegal. By copyright infringement. Ho-ho! See you at the game, Joel!
Word traveled fast. Within just a few humiliating days, rumors started flooding fan forums. People claimed that AMC theaters had quietly begun canceling Snow White showtimes. Afternoon screenings were so empty that sometimes the only thing left in the theater was a few stray popcorn kernels rolling around. In business speak, that's basically the moment you pull the plug before the memes get so bad they become part of internet history forever. Creepy.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure.
I am the Snow White now.
Meanwhile, over at Disney headquarters, accountants reportedly tried to hide their panic by clutching souvenir apples from the gift shop and telling themselves that a box office disaster was really just another great opportunity to push more people toward Disney Plus later on. Then came Rachel Zegler, the actress who had loudly called herself the savior of Snow White, even though she spent months trashing the original story, calling it sexist, outdated, and super creepy.
This is not Snow White, but this is the movie that they made. And it's like, oh yeah, she's gonna be a girl boss, she's gonna liberate her kingdom. Well, congratulations, you played yourself. This is what you get when you try to push feminism and bullshit girl boss moves on the people.
Her words might have felt a little more sincere if she wasn't also cashing huge paychecks from the very company built on that creepy cartoon. Before the movie even hit the screens, Rachel walked every red carpet she could find, sat down for every live stream, and told anyone with a microphone that the original Snow White was weird, weird, weird.
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple.
A wishing apple?
You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not, First Love's kiss can break any curse.
She made it sound like Walt Disney himself had written a horror movie about a guy kissing an unconscious stranger. But longtime Disney fans weren't laughing. To them, Snow White wasn't just an old cartoon. It was the very start of Disney's magic. Imagine walking into your grandma's kitchen, spitting on her homemade apple pie, and then asking for a second slice. That's pretty much how Disney fans felt. It takes a special kind of boldness to mock the story that gave you your big Hollywood break. But Rachel did it, and even smiled while doing so. She practically dared critics to roast marshmallows over Disney's burning reputation. And speaking of Disney's image, their marketing team made a huge decision that ended up backfiring badly.
Disney, despite losing over $1 billion on their last 4 movies, as they continue to shove woke politics into people's faces who just want to go to the movie, laugh, cry, and go home. Look, people don't want to be lectured when they're watching a movie, and they certainly don't want to be told that they're bad people. But that's what Disney continues to do.
I love what you said about wanting to entertain audiences.
critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means, and one could argue that sometimes it's used too liberally. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
They decided to completely change the Seven Dwarfs. Instead of the cheerful miners that people loved, they replaced them with a random bunch of magical forest creatures, the kind that looked like rejected background characters from a low-budget Lord of the Rings knockoff. This big change was partly because Peter Dinklage, a well-known actor with dwarfism, had criticized Disney for using what he called outdated stereotypes. Disney, panicking at the bad press, decided to get rid of the dwarfs entirely. But instead of winning praise, it upset almost everyone. Activists who wanted real representation for people with dwarfism felt betrayed, traditional Disney fans felt robbed, and regular moviegoers were just confused about why Snow White was...
She is crapping on the original production. I was scared of it. Oh, it was so weird. It was a stalker. Like, I feel like if you are taking on the most iconic Disney role ever, genuinely, like this was the most prolific Disney film, I feel like you should kind of have some sort of reverence.
Suddenly surrounded by random cosplay-looking sidekicks, while Disney scrambled to fix the growing mess, Family Guy, never missing an opportunity, swooped in like a hawk. In less than half a minute, the animated show roasted Disney in a way no expensive PR team could spin away. One brutal joke showed a roller coaster labeled Disney stock crashing in flames, with broken princess robots sparking under a giant neon Wokeland sign. It was ruthless and absolutely hilarious.
This is their policies coming back to bite them. They went woke.
Yeah.
She went out and said stuff woke that was going to hurt the film. They couldn't come out and go against her because then you're going after somebody for saying what you say you believe.
Nothing exposes a company's weakness faster than becoming the punchline of a Family Guy joke. The timing couldn't have been worse. Right when Disney needed the public to rally behind their bold new vision, Peter Griffin reminded millions of viewers that even a fart joke cartoon could hit closer to the truth than all the glossy press. Releases combined. Meanwhile, the rumors kept getting louder. Some fans claimed that after just 2 weekends, several AMC theaters had completely pulled Snow White from their schedules. The attendance was apparently so bad that the janitors were outnumbering the moviegoers. No grand announcement, no farewell, showings. Just gone. Internet detectives posted screenshots showing huge gaps where Snow White showings used to be, celebrating the movie as the first major go woke, go broke casualty of 2025. At that point, whether the rumors were 100% true didn't even matter anymore. In Hollywood, perception is everything.
Yeah, the entire film's about a love story. Yeah, I mean, it's about a love story because that's what the point of the film is, and I'm sorry that chivalry in a man pursuing you is now deemed as stalking, which now it's kind of making sense why men are opting out of the dating scene.
And it looked very much like even the theaters had given up on Disney's latest reimagining. Audiences love a good train wreck, and Disney had provided one in spectacular fashion. All caught on. Camera for everyone's smartphones. Despite the chaos swirling around them, Disney stuck firmly to their message. They insisted that this Snow White remake was always meant to be a bold reimagining for modern audiences.
This girl took the money and then decided that she wanted to go out there and, you know what, I'm going to take my stand. Well, you should have made that stand before you took the money to promote a film, because that's not in line with your job.
Translation: they bet everything that fans would stand and cheer for a movie that called their favorite childhood story outdated trash. But the cheers never came. Instead, comment sections exploded with side-by-side images, one showing the bright, cheerful 1937 Snow White, and the other showing the dark, gloomy 2025 version. One meme went viral, showing the original Snow White joyfully singing to bluebirds, next to the new Snow White glaring at a grumpy-looking CGI crabapple. The caption read, "From fairy tale to despair tale. If that made you laugh, you weren't alone." Thousands of people smashed the like button faster than Disney could scramble for yet another emergency reshoot. Of course, Disney now claims the movie isn't a flop. Not really. They say the real goal was always to have a huge streaming debut later in the summer. In other words, forget about the box office disaster. We planned this all along. Still, investors are starting to get nervous. Experts point out that Disney once made huge profits by re-releasing their classic animated films in theaters. Now, those same classics seem to be sinking the company instead, delaying. Snow White's release added an extra year of expensive marketing costs, and even after all that extra time and money, the final product still stumbled into theaters looking half-finished and exhausted. Imagine spending hundreds of millions of dollars only to have your movie trending online next to jokes comparing it to a MySpace fan film. That's exactly where Disney found themselves. Rachel Zegler doesn't seem bothered, at least not in public. Her PR team keeps flooding social media with upbeat messages. Whenever she's handed a microphone, Rachel doubles down. She talks about how thrilled she is to modernize a story she openly dislikes. When one interviewer asked if she worried about alienating longtime Disney fans, Rachel shrugged and said, "Women don't need princes, and certainly don't need dwarfs mining anything for them." Maybe that answer wins applause in college lecture halls, but most regular moviegoers would rather see a heartwarming story than sit through a lecture.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did. Because a woman shouldn't have to depend on a man. Snow White was brought back to life by a lady doctor.
And she lived happily ever after?
Well, she couldn't indulge in strenuous activities like handball, but otherwise, she was fine.
That's nice.
Meanwhile, Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen, spent her entire press tour looking like she had perfected the 1,000-yard stare of an actress who realized she wasn't promoting a movie anymore. She was apologizing for it. Some people defended Snow White, saying that the backlash was just angry conservatives mad about diverse casting. And sure, there are always trolls online, but many of the harshest critics were people who actually support diversity. They just want it handled with real storytelling, not lazy reboots. Real representation should deepen a story, not rip the heart out of it. Replacing beloved dwarfs with random magical weirdos and swapping romance for lectures about leadership didn't inspire anyone. Old fans weren't impressed, and neither were new ones. It's like trying to rewrite Beethoven's Fifth Symphony for a kazoo band, then acting surprised when nobody buys tickets. And it gets worse. Insider leaks suggest that Disney burned through their visual effects budget when nervous executives demanded last-minute, "make it more magical" reshoots. Crews ended up working endless green screen nights, downing energy drinks just to keep moving. At least one early test screening ended with polite golf claps, and a lot of people rushing to the exits. Cue more rewrites, more reshoots, and more desperate edits that only made the story even harder to follow. Is it any wonder some theaters wanted it gone before the butter even dried on the popcorn? Today, Disney's once mighty control over its brand feels about as solid as a melting Mickey Mouse ice cream bar sliding down Main Street in July. So what happens next? Most likely, Disney will try to label Snow White a cult classic misunderstood by critics. They'll slap it into shiny, limited edition steelbooks and pray that collectors will save at least a tiny piece of their gigantic budget. Rachel Zegler will move on to her next project, armed with her newly acquired skill. How to turn bad PR into free publicity. The dwarfs? They'll stay erased, maybe replaced one day with a focus-grouped spin-off about magical forest creatures unionizing against toxic fans. And the rest of us will keep munching popcorn, refreshing stock tickers, and laughing as these billion-dollar companies trip over their own overconfidence. If you think Hollywood has learned its lesson about treating nostalgia like a punching bag, think again. When's the last time a big studio simply left a classic untouched? Exactly, the remakes will. Keep coming, and we'll be ready. Buckets of sarcasm in hand, jokes locked and loaded. Now tell me, which beloved classic do you think Disney will modernize next? And just how spectacularly do you think they'll mess it up? Drop your guesses below. And if you enjoy watching billion-dollar companies slip on their own banana peels, stick around. The next disaster is probably already being storyboarded as we speak. Until then, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, in today's Hollywood, happily ever after is completely optional.